You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and looking for a different result. And I have realized a couple things. Number one, I am technically insane because every week I watch these shows and consume the garbage content that we're given. But the difference is I'm not expecting a change. I know that these shows are going to suck. And I know that Triple H is going to waste our time. And that is why I have not spent time for a full 2 to 2.5 hour period watching a full Raw or SmackDown in at least 10 or 11 months. Because these shows are unwatchable at this point. And you know who else has a case of insanity? Triple Fraud. Because he thinks that having cheap pops, nostalgia acts, and jobbers, and brawls, and old men and women going out there and wrestling for nothing every week is going to keep this company afloat, and it's not going to, and it's going to fail miserably. This episode of Raw was empty. It was lifeless. It was boring, and it was absolutely awful. Not one good story was told. Not one good segment was had, and not one great match was actually done. If you want to say that Gunther and Carmelo Hayes had a great match, and they put on a banger, and next week we gonna get Soul Sikoa versus Gunther, and they gonna put on a banger, and then we gonna get Jey Uso versus Rusev, and they gonna put on a banger. If that's what you think, then you can go ahead and believe that as much as you want. But all I can tell you right now, you know what I'm saying, is that these shows are garbage. And the pander pops and nonsense can only last so long because botch Lesnar came out there and slipped on himself. You know what I'm saying? This is one of the funniest botches of all time. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Brock Lesnar slipped on himself. You know what I'm saying? It slipped as he was trying to do his big pyro moment. He literally fell and botched it. Fell down to the ground, gets back up, and basically him and the heel team brawl with the faces. All Triple H can do is pop, 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 and then brawl. It's the same thing. Last week, we had the, on Raw, it was the women's faces came out and then the heels came out or whatever, or vice versa, and they brawled. Then later in the night, Lesnar came out first in return, and then Roman came out, and they all brawled together as the show went off air. This week, Roman comes out, cuts an empty promo that nobody cares about because him and Cody and Punk had absolutely nothing of meaning to say. Then in the main event, we basically had Roman Reigns coming out first and standing with his team, and then Lesnar comes out, botches, and then they brawl. It's the same thing. AJ Lee shows up tonight. G comes out. Becky Lynch comes out. The two teams brawl. All Triple H can do, no matter how many stars you put on these shows, all Triple H can do is brawl. That's it. It shows you how he clearly he's lacking the ability to actually make stars feel like stars. There's no reason you can have this much star power on your show, and the best thing that you have to offer is just a bunch of brawl segments, man. He's not maximizing these stars' potential. Why do you think that Rhea Ripley has been super over for years at this point? But the problem is that Rhianna Ripley, unfortunately, has not told any good stories or had any good feuds in years. In years. You know? People are accepting mediocrity. I don't care if people call this hating. This is critiquing, bro. Like John Cena said this year, one of the few good things in his heel run, he told Darius Rodington, he told him, I don't bury talent, I bury mediocrity. And that's what this company is. It's not even mediocrity, it's garbage. In that match, Carmelo Hayes, Gunther sucks, by the way. We're going to get to that in a second. But Carmelo Hayes, it did all the great moves in that match. He had all the athleticism. He's the one who got the crowd going because no one in the crowd cares about Gunther. Literally nobody cares. No one, because here's the thing, right? I literally was just doing a live stream, and I literally said on the stream, I was wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt. No, and this is 20 years, it's well over 20 years since we've seen Stone Cold Steve Austin, you know what I'm saying, as an active, you know what I'm saying, full-time wrestler, right? No one in 20 years is going to be wearing Gunther merch. No one is wearing Gunther merch right now, and he's a two-time world champion. You get me? Gunther's a nobody. No one's going to look back and watch Gunther matches or Gunther promos or Gunther segments. They may watch one or two, you know what I'm saying? But no one cares about this guy. He's a jobber. He draws no money. He puts no butts in seats. He sells no merch. He barely wrestles when he had the title. He's had two terrible reigns, which is partly Triple H, but partly on him. Gunther doesn't know how to tell stories. He barely cuts promos, and when they do, you're usually either mediocre at best or awful. And it's as simple as that. We can't look at this guy who got tapped out by Jey Uso at WrestleMania and then had a 50-50 match with Oldberg. You know what I'm saying? Oldberg. You know what I'm saying? He did that. And then he had a 50-50 match with Patrick McAfee, a commentator. He had a 50-50 match with Otis and Tozawa earlier this year. This is the same guy who was about to retire John Cena. Do you guys not see a problem with this? Last year in July of 2024, because we're going to start off this show and review it out of order, okay? Let's talk about the Carmelo Hayes and Gunther match first, and then we'll talk about the Roman Reigns, because listen, Roman Reigns, guys, has never felt like less of a star than he does right now. You know, and in the big dog days, it was bad. Don't get me wrong. Like, there were some really bad moments there. There were some really good moments throughout that, you know what I'm saying, that mid-2010s era as well. Well, not a lot of good, but you get what I'm saying. There was some good stuff, but there's a lot of bad stuff. But this is embarrassing. All Roman Reigns does is come out, right? He returns and has a brawl. The next week he cuts a promo or either gets interrupted, and then later that night he brawls, and that's it. It's the same formula we've been seeing for a year. And unfortunately, Romano Reigns, even though he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, this dude has not told a good story in at least a year. At least a year, bro. He's done nothing of significance. And the fact that Triple H knows this dude has limited dates and still when Roman shows up can't do anything creative with him is beyond me. It's genuinely beyond me, man. I've never seen... Roman Reigns is the last superstar since John Cena. He's the last one. He's going to be the last superstar in all of wrestling. There's no one coming else that's going to be as big as Roman or even close to it. And Roman isn't even a bigger superstar than Cena. You know? He's not even close to that necessarily. And so if you can't even get to Roman's level, I don't know what you have. I don't know what you have genuinely. You have nothing. So that's it. But we're going to get back to Romano in a second. Gunther comes out, 0 pop. Beats Carmelo Hayes after, you know what I'm saying, doing the sleeper hold. There's some really good DDT counters here. A lot of great athleticism displayed by Carmelo Hayes. He gets the crowd up and going. He's starting to get more over, which is great. I like Melo Hayes, and that's great. He's better. Here's the thing. What is Carmelo Hayes not better than Gunther at? Seriously, can you tell me what he's not better than Gunther at? He's a better in-ring performer. He's more entertaining. He's more athletic. He's more charismatic. He's better on the mic. He's a better storyteller. He has a better entrance, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I don't like. What are we doing here? What are we seriously doing? How is Carmelo Hayes not getting a push, but Gunther is? A guy who's already won 2 world titles is retiring John Cena. And another issue that we talk about as well. Mr. Slayer, shout out to this on the stream. He brought this up as a great point. Okay, Mr. Slayer had a phenomenal comment, okay? Shout out to Mr. Slayer for his support, by the way, you know what I'm saying, in the live streams. But he basically said this. He said, if John Cena is trying to have you know what I'm saying, because Cena mentioned himself in his promo a couple weeks ago in Boston, that he wanted to have a situation where he ended off his chapter of his career, you know what I'm saying, in his chapter of what he did in WWE, and open up the chapter for new talents to set up the future of the company. How can you set up the future when the 16-man John Cena retirement tour has 11 of the 16 competitors are 40-plus-year-old jobbers? 40-plus-year-old jobbers. And the rest of them are either in their mid to late 30s and have already accomplished things, so they're not the future. And then only like Javon Evans and Carmelo Hayes are the only people who are either on the age of 30 years old or younger than that. 2 people out of 16 people. That's a waste of time. You can't tell me that WWE and Triple H thought this through. They did an awful job with Cena's whole retirement tour, and now they're doing an awful job with this tournament, bro. This is stupid. Rusev already fought Cena and beat him years ago. It did nothing for his career, clearly, because he's still a career undercarder / mid-card jobber. Solo Sikoa, mid-card jobber. You know what I'm saying? And he beat Cena down to a pulp 2 years ago. But now he's in a tournament to fight back again? None of it makes sense. The John Cena retirement tour in this tournament has been ruined. And now we're going to have to watch Gunther, who does absolutely nothing for anybody. Literally is going to come out here and put Cena in a sleeper hold, and then what? And then what? Where does Gunther go from there? He goes nowhere. He's already been a 2-time world champion. What is he going to gain by beating John Cena here? He's not going to be more over. He's not going to be more hated as a heel, because maybe he'll be hated for a couple weeks, but then nobody will care about it in like a month. So none of this stuff makes any sense. You could have given it to Carmelo Hayes or anything. You know, half of this tournament should have been people who are at the max age of 35. That should have been half of the tournament. Should have been Trick Williams, Obafemi, Carmelo Hayes, you know what I'm saying, and guys like that. Maybe a Drew McIntyre even, you know what I'm saying? Even though I think he is 40, but at least he's super talented. Heck, I wouldn't even have had a problem if Logan Paul was in this tournament or something like that. You know? At least some new faces, some younger faces. If John Cena said he wants to build the future of the industry, how can you build the future with a bunch of 40-year-old jobbers? It's paradoxical, man. It's insanity. So Carmelo Hayes loses to Gunther as predicted, and Gunther is obviously going to win this tournament, and we're going to move on with our lives after John Cena has one of the worst retirement matches of all time. That's what's going to happen, and we're going to move on. So it is what it is. I don't know what to say about this. Carmelo Hayes also got a jobber entrance, by the way, and they literally were showing the little mini figures and action figures on the announce table during his entrance. Like, in the whole time, Wade Barrett's talking about when Gunther slapped the ring post by accident, he goes, Gunther may have broke his metacarpal bone. He may have broke his metacarpal bone. Joseph Tessitore. By the way, Joseph Tessitore, his energy is awful. Awful. He could not motivate me to drink water in a desert. It's that bad sometimes, man. It's that bad. Let's go ahead and get through the opening segment with Romano Reigns, okay? The OTC Roman Reigns comes out. He basically sits there for a massive pop, you know what I'm saying, and waits for the fans. I'm getting very sick and tired of the same formulaic garbage with Roman Reigns. Now, we've obviously gone through this before, and this is kind of the situation that we deal with. But at this point, it's getting ridiculous, man. Every single week, Roman Reigns comes out and basically has absolutely nothing to offer. It's getting embarrassing, guys. Roman Reigns clearly brought this company back to prominence for a temporary time, and I get that stuff. He's clearly the last star after John Cena. However, this is unacceptable. Him sitting in the ring in silence, you know, mewing and mogging basically, you know what I'm saying, in the middle of the ring for no reason, you know what I'm saying, like sucking his cheeks in for no reason whenever somebody else enters the ring, and then absolutely waiting for people to give him the pop of the OTC, Roman Reigns, we are bots, you know what I'm saying, like, it's getting ridiculous at this point, so that's really annoying. Roman Reigns, it was like 8:12 Eastern time, and literally no words has been said the whole show. Like, how is that possible, bro? And then the libation addict, Cody Rhodes, comes out, he barely gets a reaction, and you know what I'm saying, the crowd is disappointed. They then chant the Cody Rhodes thing because his initial entrance when he came out, the crowd was disappointed and didn't give a pop, but then all of a sudden, they gave him a pop when he was in the ring. Cody Rhodes basically says, "Can I have your word for war, Roman? Can we go to war together? Can we love for each other? Can we care for one another? You know what I'm saying? Can we love one another?" And he basically asks, "What's in it for you?" Roman Reigns basically says, "I'm fighting for my family. I want to see my investment come through for the Usos." Now, let's get this straight. Did Roman Reigns not already witness the Usos be the double champions, the double tag champions, the undisputed tag champions for like over a year? Does that not show everything coming to fruition or no? You know what I'm saying? Jey Uso winning a world title, did that not show him coming to fruition or no? Like, he's talking about his investment. What are you talking about, bro? Anyways, CM Punkinator comes out and basically says, "Acknowledge us." You know what I'm saying? Because there are three standing in the ring. And Punk says, "I don't need your word because I saved your life last year." Saved his life from what? From what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about, bro? And he says it because he saved him at WarGames. Like, bro, just stop. Roman Reigns then says, "Yeah, then you ruined it 5 months later. You ruined my life 5 months later." Bro, like, this show is complete garbage. What are we talking about at this point, man? CM Punk is talking about WarGames. Roman's talking about Mania. None of it matters. Roman feuded and fought with Cody for back-to-back years. He fought with Punk for Mania this year, and now he's teaming with him. None of it makes sense. Nobody cares. We move on, okay? After this, Roman basically says it's not a matter of any of that. You know what I'm saying? The matter is that, you know, well, before this, CM Punk basically says, "This isn't Raw, Cody. All right? This isn't Raw, buddy. I'm the champion, and on this show, I'm the QB1." You know what I'm saying? And he's the champion here. Roman then says, "It doesn't matter whose team it is, okay? I hate the Vision. I hate Paul Heyman more than I hate you guys, and that's why I'm teaming with you." He then looks at both champions and looks at both belts and says, "That belt would look good on me." CM Punk then asks which one, and Roman Reigns says, "That's up for you to decide." And I don't know what this means. I don't care. Let me guess. Roman's going to go for one of the belts in WrestleMania season? Yeah. Like, dude, nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares. Until Triple H books Roman Reigns like the actual megastar that he is, I don't know what to say about any of this. Then after this nonsense, Dominic Mysterio came out and introduced us to Jonathan Wiener. John Wiener comes out, or John Wiener as they call him, comes out and gets beat up by Dominic Mysterio. Then Rey Mysterio, after letting this innocent guy get beat up by his son, decides to come out and save the day, I guess. After this takes place, we have a 50-year-old Raymond Mysterio fighting JD McDonald's to see who can give me my quarter pounder meal with my Dr. Pepper faster. That's what the match is for. It's for literally nothing. Nobody cares about it. We move on. Rey Mysterio, I think, went off a roll-up or some stuff. Nobody cares. Let's get on with this. Solo Sikoa, unfortunately, we had this match with him and Penta unfortunately hurt his shoulder and got injured. And so because the match couldn't continue, Solo Sikoa now advances in the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. And again, why are we watching Solo Sikoa and Gunther fight when we just watched Solo Sikoa fight John Cena at Crown Jewel and demolish him 2 years ago, and it did nothing for his career? What's it going to do now that he's even more of a jobber, arguably? Man, I don't know what to say about this. Now, in the midst of all this was the segment I touched on earlier, which, again, you know, I'm sorry for being out of place in this review, right? Going over events out of order and stuff like that. It may seem messy and sloppy, but guess what else is messy and sloppy and awful? This show. So thank you. We had a women's WarGames segment. Rebecca Lynch comes out and basically says that, you know what I'm saying, she's built every star that she's working with. She's built Asuka and, you know, Kairi Sane. She says that she's basically built Nia Jax, and then she basically says that she's going to help build Lash Legend into a star. AJ Lee then comes out, and basically AJ Lee says, like, something along the lines of, what did AJ Lee say, bro? She says you know, Becky Lynch lights a fire in her, and, you know, Rhea Ripley and her teammates on her WarGames team only make the fire even bigger. And you just sit here and you look at all of these war games for the men and the women's, nothing makes any sense. Drew and Brock Lesnar fought each other at Mania, haven't really seen each other since, and now they're fighting and teaming alongside one another. Brunson Reed and Braun Breaker are supposed to be the future of WrestleMania, and they look like small, you know what I'm saying, unimportant jobbers, you know what I'm saying, next to people like Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar, and even a Logan Paul. You know what I mean? It's bad, bro. You have what's his name? The last time we saw Brock Lesnar, him and Paul Heyman were at odds. Now all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, they're just buddies again. I just, none of it makes sense. Roman Reigns feuded with Cody back-to-back Manias and feuded with Punk this year. Now they're teaming together. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he literally told the Usos he doesn't want to see him till Christmas. He was upset with them at Crown Jewel at Crown Jewel in Australia this year. And now all of a sudden they're good. You know what I'm saying? There's no issues there. Nothing makes sense, bro. The women's team is the same thing. Becky Lynch is just randomly teaming with the Kabuki Warriors. She's randomly teaming with Lash Legend and Nia Jax, which, again, I'm like 90% positive the last time Nia Jax and Becky interacted on stream was when they were having that feud on Raw last year, at that early point of last year. So I don't get that. Then you move on from that. You know what I'm saying? On the women's side, Rhea and Io feuded the whole first half of the year. If you want to call it a feud, it was garbage. Now they're teaming with each other. Then you have AJ Lee. She's randomly joining to fight alongside these women. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. Again, they're going to break up at some point. I don't really care. They're feuding with the Kabuki Warriors. Now they all have to make it into a War Games match. Like, none of this makes sense. There's no connective tissue. There's no reason to be invested in any of this. And that's why all of the promos and segments, Becky Lynch and AJ Lee and Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns and Punk and Cody, these stars can come out here, guys, every single week. They can actually be full-timers. You can have that star power full-time, and it wouldn't even matter, because at the end of the day, you can have a billion stars on your show, but if they're not booked properly, they don't do anything meaningful, they don't tell great stories, and they don't do anything amazing and make these characters, you know what I'm saying, like the booking doesn't make these characters feel larger than life, and they don't actually build you know what I'm saying, build excitement and hype for these pay-per-views, none of it's gonna matter. It's gonna ultimately be empty and lifeless garbage that just has a star power on it, so you get the cheap pops from the audience. And that is what WWE has become. We then had next on the show was a tag match for the advantage match for War Games. Drew McIntyre, you know what I'm saying? Because he can't stop thinking about Punk, and he can't stop thinking about Roman, and I can't stop thinking about Cody, and I can't stop thinking about Randy. And that's it. Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul beat the Usos, the alleged greatest tag team of all time. Logan Paul pins Yamato Uso with a fruit roll-up. Then afterwards, Roman Reigns comes out, Superman punches 4 people straight, just destroys them in 2 seconds. Then Brock Lesnar comes out, they re-huddle after he botches and slips on himself, you know what I'm saying, slips on the ramp or whatever. And then they brawl as the show goes off the air. Every single War Game segment this year for the women's and the men's has ended in a meaningless segment or promo beforehand and then ends up in a brawl. It's the same thing. And that's how these shows end every week, getting a 1 out of 10, which is exactly what this show gets, and that's exactly what it deserves. This show was complete garbage. Let me know your thoughts on Raw in the comment section below, but this was a genuine disaster. You're probably wondering why I didn't spend any more time in this segment. Guys, nothing happened. So there's no point. You know what I'm saying? I just talked about this for over an hour on a live stream, and now I'm doing this because this show really sucks, and it needs to get the point across that it does suck, and it sucks, and it sucks. This show sucks. It gets a 1 out of 10 from your boy. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. And as always, I thank you guys for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.